This week on the Honey Darling Show. Is your refrigerator running? It is. Well, you better go catch it. By heart.
Jewish paintings are scary.
Oh my god, they are.
Hiya, Georgie. You look like a nice boy.
Run!
But you have a lot of friends.
Welcome to the Honey Darling Show. This is our It episode. We are your hosts. I'm Trey. Tim Curry's a better Pennywise Johnson.
You really think that?
Maybe.
Okay. Well, I'm Jess, SS Georgie Kenyon.
And we have a special guest this week, our friend...
John the Borkschniedler Logan.
All right. He's the Borkschniedler. Does that have anything... Does that have...
Train is pronounced Borkschniedler. Stress the R's.
Okay. Does that have anything to do with
That
the
sounds
It
like
movie?
something you eat in Star Trek.
The
Yeah.
Borkschniedler?
That's secretly the name of Pennywise's butthole.
Okay, I'd believe that. Yeah, 100%.
Anyway, we're gonna...
That's where he blows up his balloons from.
Yeah.
From the Borkschniedler.
I'd also believe that.
Yeah. Anyway, we're here to talk about It. This is our Spoilercast and all that. Spoilercast review. We brought John on because he had just recently read or listened to the book. I've read half of the book, so we can talk about that.
For the first time, I've never read the book.
Yeah. But we do, at the beginning of our show, we do this thing called for further reading where we talk about stuff that has to do with the movie. That's stuff that people should check out, like stuff that has the actors in it, or something that has to do with the whatever, or you think has the same tone of the movie. So my for further reading that I'm going to say, even though Jess is probably going to be mad at me for doing it.
Oh no!
I'm going to say EarthBound for my for further reading.
I'll never be mad at EarthBound
Because EarthBound is a Super Nintendo RPG game, which supposedly is roughly based on It, or inspired by It. So it's a story about kids who basically have to defeat the ultimate evil, Gygas, at one point. And they have psychic powers and stuff like that, which... Anyway, it's a great video game. If you haven't played it, you should play it. But supposedly it's based on the story of It, which I can see some similarities in there for sure.
Is it on the ColecoVision?
No, it's on Super Nintendo.
Just kidding.
It's too good for ColecoVision. Do you have one, Jess?
Well, I was actually going to say, maybe check out Lock and Key. Did you ever read any of those?
Oh, Stephen King's son's comic?
Yeah,
No,
Stephen King's son's comic is called Lock and Key. It's like a collected. It's like a 6-issue in the trades. So it's like 36 issues maybe.
Oh.
It's not very long.
It's over though, right?
It's over, yeah,
okay.
It's over. I actually only read the first 3 because I ran out of money, but I loved them. I thought they were really, really good.
Oh, you only read the first 3 trades?
I only read the first 3 trades, so I
Okay.
read maybe 18 comics.
Yeah, I remember Kamani talked about that.
But
Your buddy did.
I will eventually pick up the end of the series because I thought it was really, really well written. So
sure.
not quite related, but related.
Yeah, for sure. It's in the family, right?
Absolutely in the family.
Can you do a synopsis without spoiling anything about the story of Lock and Key?
There's a house.
With a lock?
People live there.
Okay.
Strange things happen.
Okay.
There is an overarching story.
Yeah, but you can't really say much other than that without giving it away? Anyway?
No. Kids are in it. It's
Okay.
well written.
Okay.
It's really good. So far. I don't know how it ends, so I couldn't spoil it if I wanted to.
Sure.
But I like it a lot
Yeah.
thus far, so try it out.
Okay, cool.
And also, if you end up buying the last 3 trades and you want to just send them over to me, cool.
Yeah, email us and then you can send it to us. Do you have one for the? Sorry, I didn't tell you about this before we recorded, but you could do it off the bat, right?
So, the closest thing to It is Muppet Babies, but aside from that and Stranger Things and watching Goonies on PCP, I would say maybe check out some Lovecraft,
Totally.
like Mountains of Madness or some Call of Cthulhu.
Absolutely.
Or SpongeBob or something.
Or some porno movie called
Midget Brothel 6! It's always Midget Brothel 6!
I was going to say Sex in the Sewer. Oh. Spoilers. Sorry. For the book.
Because the kids fuck in the sewer.
They do, yeah.
Not in the movie.
Yeah.
Stop lying to them. Stop lying!
Tell us about that. No, like, let's start there.
Do you want to talk about sex
Yeah,
in the
I just
sewer?
want to, like, get that part over with.
This is from the book. This is only from the book.
So tell us about
it.
it.
Will always only be from the book.
John, tell us, can you explain what the fuck the thinking, talk to me about this.
I don't know if I can explain the
I
thinking.
read an interview with Stephen King about it, which I can talk about, but talk about what, I mean, I don't think I got to that part. Well,
I can tell you.
my experience, let me just get one thing out of the way real quick. My experience with the book, I like most of it, but Stephen King's writing kind of irritates me. I like the movies and stuff that come from his writing, but his writing is like so super descriptive that it kind of annoys me sometimes. Like, you know, the part, so like in the TV made for TV It movie, there's, you know, Stan, the guy, he finds out the clown's back and he kills himself in his bathtub and he writes It on the wall. Like, that was like super chilling to me when I watched it originally. In the book, there's like 50 fucking pages about like his wife and how they dated for however long and like their wedding and how he promised that he'd never hurt her ever. And then she finds him in the bathtub and like, you don't need any of that. Like, I actually kind of put the book down after that part because I was like, I don't fucking care.
A little Dickensian.
Like, I don't need
you.
to know like how they, like when they had sex the first time after they got married and all this shit. Like, I just want him to be found in the bathtub with his wrist cut, and then I know that the clown is scary and he's fucking freaked out about it, you know?
Well, I mean, it was over long, but I did like having some emotional investment in the dude before he's.
Well, you're
like,
invested.
Holy fuck! This guy just learned about his dead.
Well, you're
not,
invested in him as like him as a kid, like when he's growing up with the other guys. Like, that's
the
what you
book,
learn about him.
Well, the book opens with a suicide, pretty much.
No,
Yeah.
no, it's farther into it than that.
It's pretty close. To
I
the
mean, John
beginning.
just read it.
Well,
I did just read
he listened to it.
And they start out with a phone call to Mike, so it goes through all the different characters, and it is
Oh,
long
really?
and arduous, but yeah. So
Well, I
that's
mean, it's
the
like
first-
1,000. Isn't it like a 1,500 page book or something like that?
Yeah.
It's huge. I have the book out in the living room there.
But the first exposure you have to any of the characters is Mike Hanlon calling them and being like, "It's back."
Yeah.
I don't think that sounds. I don't think that sounds terrible to me. You've complained to me about that
Yeah.
several times.
It was
just-
too long.
but I-
It
but
was
I-
too
it just
long.
annoyed
But sure. But I think having some concrete way to approach the impact that this had on him, that's not invalid.
Yeah.
Like, if you have the context for how much he loved his wife and how happy he was and how he promised never to leave her, and he had that in his mind when he killed himself, like, no matter how many years he spent loving this woman, all of that pales into comparison to how scared he is of it. He can't face that, even with the strength of his relationship, so he ends it. So I think that's...
I thought it was, the way that I read it, I felt like that they were trying to explain, like, they wanted to know, like, how surprised she was that he killed himself. Like, I thought they were trying to build it up that he would never do that.
Sure.
I just felt like it went on a little too long for that. Like, people say that Stephen King can, like, describe a glass of water for, like, 30 pages, and I believe
part
that.
of that book goes on too long.
Yeah. No, I mean, a lot of his stuff does. Well, like The Stand, isn't that like 9,000 pages or something? I know it's
I'm
not.
never reading that.
I know it's not that long, but I know it's huge.
It's actually only 20 pages longer.
The Stand is?
I've only
I don't
ever
know.
read, like, I think I've read all of them, but I think I've only ever read short stories, Stephen King short stories. And I read, like, Hearts and Bones or Hearts in Atlantis, maybe.
Guns N' Roses.
Yeah.
Hearts in
Eddie Van
Atlantis.
Halen, some book.
Well, Hearts in Atlantis is the one, they made a movie of it with Anthony Hopkins.
Yeah, I didn't
So maybe
see
it
it.
was that one. I saw it and I was like, yeah. But yeah.
Is that the one where he gets an enema?
Maybe, I don't know.
Like this big enema banquet at the end.
With the pork schneidler.
Anyway, let's talk about sewer sex here. I mean, that's really what we're here
Yeah,
to talk
tell
about.
us about it, John.
Tell us about sewer sex and, like, is it really clean? Like, I mean, is it
No, don't
safe?
talk about that. I
I'm
just
okay.
want to hear about what happens in the book.
Yeah.
Well, in the book, there's this whole cutout chapter about how they're cleaning, like scrubbing off blisters with steel.
No, not that.
But
The
all the
actual
kids.
book.
So,
But
like,
any-
how many kids is it? It's like 5
7,
boys,
I think.
6 boys and a girl.
Yeah.
And they all
I thought there was less than
fuck
that.
in the sewer?
There's Mike, Eddie, Ben, Bill,
Stan.
Richie, and Beverly.
7.
Okay. Who's Ben?
Ben's the poet, the fat kid.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Kiss me, fat boy.
Yeah, that guy. So,
My
like,
heart burns there too.
oh, okay, yeah. Is it because of because in the movie, like, she stares in the deadlights and she gets floated into the whatever, and is it, like, sort of like that, where, like, somebody's out of it and they have to, like, fuck to get them back,
They
or
don't even
what?
talk about the deadlights at all.
They at least showed them.
They didn't, but they showed them.
Yeah.
But I mean, is that like?
Yeah. I mean,
Like
I would like to get into that.
Well, I figured that would be what would happen, right? That they get, because it's like something, I don't know. I read a synopsis on Wikipedia that said like they did it for Unity or something like that, which I don't know what that means, but.
So basically there was this magic leading them down to where Pennywise was. It was Eddie Kasprak, who's always been interested in maps, and he felt like he was just guided psychically. He was like, okay, now we have to take a left, now we have to take a right. And so they killed it, or wounded it, and the force that was guiding them left them, and they were all kind of a little bit traumatized, and so they were kind of losing their group power, and it was like a psychic power for sure. And so Beverly thought the only way to get it back was to unify lovingly or whatever, and it's so I can't justify it.
So she fucks all of them?
No, they all fuck each other though, right?
And they
or is
talk
it just
no, it's only just Beverly.
So there's no man on man in there? No. Oh man, they talk about a disappointment.
That's upsetting.
They talk about it's from Beverly's perspective too, and she's talking about Ben was so big I didn't know if he would fit.
Oh, weird.
But then he talks about then King talks about how lovely it is, and they're all in love, just swap and spooge.
Weird.
It's really weird.
I was hoping that it was just like everybody, and
That's
they just
super offensive to me
totally
as a
got
woman.
it, right? Yeah.
And especially like with her character arc about being abused by men, like it's like,
Yeah.
what the
Yeah.
fuck?
Seems like a really weird turn, right, for her? Well, because then she gets abused later in the second half of it, like for her husband.
It's not uncommon for women who are sexually abused to use sex as a tool to feel love, but I don't think that's a nice way to tell a story. I don't think we should promote that way of
No, and
things
they made
happening.
it seem like it was just like it got their fucking mojo back, and they made it out as a result of that.
And they don't remember it at all, right? When they're humans, when they're older.
They eventually remember having the big pork fest,
Oh, do they? Well, because I know that like when they get older, they don't remember some of their child fun or whatever. I'm sure they do when they come back together in the second part. I mean,
Yeah,
the
she's like,
sex part.
In the
I
sex
remember
part.
being with you. In fact, I remember being with all of you.
Yeah.
I thought maybe they had a big orgy, which I could get behind much more easily than just like
right. Then
a
her
girl
just
let
going around
6
and having
dudes
sex with
fuck her.
everybody. Yeah.
And then Richie's like, that's why we all have herpes.
They probably didn't get it when they were kids. But
They definitely all got
I
HPV.
read an interview with Stephen King about it, and just him talking about like, and he's, for one, he was on a lot of drugs when he did it. I know that. No, he didn't particularly say that, but he said
was
it was
on cocaine.
He said it was on. He said that it was like it was supposed to be a pathway, like to connect like their adulthood and their childhood, and that it was like it was a glass tunnel is what he called it.
I see what he's trying to make them adults.
Yeah, is what
in
he
this
said
totally
it was.
bullshit, unbelievable, gross, disgusting, anti-feminist way.
I mean, you obviously can't use it in the movie. Well, I mean, for one, because it's like child pornography and all that as well. But
and child pornography.
Well, I mean, I figured that's why they didn't put it in there, right?
Gross.
Yeah, it was just because of it's super petter and all that. Yeah,
it was an abortion of words. So what's next? Let's just leave it at an abortion of words. A big bloody sloppy sewer abortion of words. I am getting weird looks from Trey Johnson.
Well, yeah. Anyway, let's just
sorry.
Now that we've gotten all the weird stuff out of the way, hopefully, let's get into the movie then, right?
Okay.
Right? Can we do that now, or do we need to talk about sewer sex more?
No.
Yeah.
We should totally.
I mean, we could do the whole episode about sewer sex.
No.
I'm kidding.
Here's what I want to know.
Please stay with us, listeners.
I'll show you a staph infection, senor.
That wax that they cover the boat in. Like, can we get some of that?
Oh, the floaty stuff?
I've never seen anything like that.
In the book, we call it paraffin. And in the miniseries, it goes paraffin.
Yeah.
Yeah, paraffin wax is what you would use. I don't know if you remember in the 90s, but there was like a craze of like, you could buy them on TV, and they were these like paraffin wax things, and they would heat up, and you would like dip your hands in them.
Oh, weird.
Or dip your feet in them, and they're supposed to be really good for your skin. So when I was a kid, I would like pour candle wax over my cuticles.
I thought you were about to say there are those things that you put in the oven and they grow.
Shrinky dinks?
Yes, shrinky dinks.
No. After shrinky dinks. Shrinky dinks were 80s. But this was probably mid 90s. It was a really weird time.
Yeah.
For paraffin wax.
It's a beautiful time to be alive.
But I never thought of putting it on a boat.
Yeah.
To make it float. It was pretty cool.
Yeah. Well, they gotta float.
Yeah, they all float. I'm not doing the voice.
Yeah, I'll only do the Tim Curry one just because I know how to do that one.
Yeah.
Even though his new voice was super interesting, the new guys.
I really loved the makeup too. His face was amazing. I loved his cheeks.
Yeah.
And how different he looked, like straight-faced to smiling. Although he was very rarely straight-faced it was mostly either like teeth or smiling creepily as fuck. And I think they must have also padded out his head.
Yeah.
Don't you think his head looked really big?
Yeah, no, that was
like
not
really
natural.
triangular.
His head was big in the original one too.
It was.
Yeah.
They
exaggerated it.
But Tim Curry's head was kind of like, I look at wigs all day, so sorry, but
it's okay. That's why we bring you here.
Like Tim Curry's head, the bald part went really far back.
Yeah.
And Pennywise had a lot more hair. The new one had a lot more hair.
What was his name?
Bill?
His name is Skarsgård.
Yeah, Bill Skarsgård.
Good.
Thank you. So Bill, he had a lot more hair as Pennywise. He had a lot more hair on top.
Actor, yeah.
But his forehead, they made his whole head like this really triangular shape, which is really scary because pointy things, shape-wise, I know this is going to sound crazy, but pointy things, as far as visually shape-wise, are scarier.
Well, yeah, they'll
than
cut
rounded
you,
things.
right?
And his makeup is also, if you look at it, it goes up straight up into points over his eyes.
Yeah, I like that makeup where he kind of turns into a crow clown.
But if you think about clown makeup, it's generally like soft. It's circles. It's half circles. It's really rounded, generally, and a big round nose. And he didn't have a big round nose. It was almost a triangle kind of shaped nose. It was flat on top, and it came down to the point of his nose. So he is really angular.
Yeah.
But his cheekbones provide this kind of circular effect that make the makeup move in a way that's really terrifying.
Do you think he had extra cheek stuff?
No, those are his cheeks. I've seen a picture
latex,
of his real face.
Yeah.
He just has some serious cheekbones.
His teeth were super angular too. Like it's, like his two big buck teeth that were looked like jagged and sharp and all that.
His
I noticed that first,
top
at the very beginning.
There's like a gap in them and one of them goes a little bit sideways. And that's kind of how my bottom teeth go, so I felt a kinship there.
Oh, no. Your teeth are not like that at all. Don't say that.
Yeah, that's how I feel about them. I don't look like that.
I definitely don't see Pennywise when I look at your teeth.
Thank God.
Have you been getting a hankering for toddlers?
Strangely.
Yeah. Well, you should see when she opens, when she yawns. It's like all you can see. All the,
it's like 3 rows of teeth.
You can see all the levels of teeth and all. There's it's like the cone heads. It goes all the way back.
Thankfully, the dentist doesn't charge me anymore.
And her eyes, her pupils separate from each other, roll back into her head.
I really liked, though, the way that they did his eyes when he got angry or when they became golden instead of being the blue color that they were in his relaxed state. Yeah. It was sort of like the dead lights came to life in his eyes, which was scary as fuck.
Yeah.
So I heard a story actually that the director wanted to CGI one of his eyes to be lazy, and apparently Bill Skarsgård has the ability to. He's like, you mean like this? And his eyes separated.
Oh, to just droop one eye.
Oh, he can do that? Oh, that's cool, yeah.
Saved them $100,000.
Oh, that's great. No, I mean, he didn't do that during audition. He'd be like, here, check this out. My eyes will go both ways.
The way that the director told it made it sound as if it was a decision he made after production had started.
That's cool.
Oh. Well, yeah, that's
I've
cool
seen people be able to do that, though. Roll one eye to the outside.
Yeah. Yeah, where you kind of separate them, the opposite of crossing your eyes. Let's, since we were talking about makeup, what do you want to talk about, effects and, cause I had some complaints with the movie, but, overall, I thought the special effects was fantastic. I loved I loved a lot of that shit. And there were some really cool effects parts, and I'd love to see it again for that, for sure.
Well, see, my issue is it's hard to separate this from my main statement about the movie, but I thought that Skarsgård was such a good performer that some of the CGI took away from his moments to shine.
Yeah. Like what? Like what part?
Particularly in the projector part.
Oh, see, I loved that.
Really? I thought he looked goofy coming out.
When he came out and he was this big puppet thing?
Oh, no. It was he looked so big compared to those kids that I I was honestly scared as fuck because he came out of that projector probably like 3 times the size and only the front half of him. So in my mind, I was like, if the rest of him comes out of that garage, he's going to be
huge,
bigger than the garage.
Yeah.
These kids are fucked.
He kind of looked like the mess up marionette. He reminded me of Puppet Ganon from the Wind Waker. Like he's this big the big beast Puppet Ganon. You know,
yeah.
It's kind of what it reminded me of, like a twisted marionette thing. You know.
Well, to me, the parallel in the miniseries, they didn't really have one in the book, but I thought this was good in the miniseries where Mike Hanlon's showing them the history of Derry in this flip book. Which actually Ben does.
Yeah, actually, that was another thing I had a problem with because I felt like that Mike didn't really have anything to do, like since they took that away. You know, that was a big thing because I didn't feel like I really knew him that much.
Yeah, we were lost.
I guess he brought up the idea that it was the curse, but
all I know is that he kills animals, you know, and his parents are dead. Like that's all I really know about him. But I didn't really. I felt like, did they feel like Ben needed more development? Like I thought him being a tortured big kid, you know, was already enough. I mean, I can relate to that.
Well, and he's the new kid too.
Yeah,
so
even though I did
he's got a lot of things going against him.
Even though I did love the new Kids on the Block stuff with Beverly,
hilarious.
I thought that was really funny. And actually, Beverly was probably like my favorite.
Yeah. She was easily my favorite.
She was
character.
my favorite too.
I think she was the best, most relatable one, even I guess, you know, because she gets attacked by Evil Dead, came out of her sink. So
I did want to.
But also, go ahead, John.
No, go ahead.
Just finish the story about. So Mike is flipping through the book in the original miniseries. Well, not the original miniseries. The miniseries is based upon.
That where he showed the history of Derry. Yeah.
And Pennywise comes out in the picture, and he's like,
I'm your worst nightmare. I'm everything that you fear.
Yeah.
I'm going to kill you all.
I thought that was way scarier than like some weird mutant giant cartoon dog.
We do sort of get more context for what Pennywise is about in the miniseries. Because they don't talk about fear until, 10 minutes until the end of the movie, maybe.
I felt like the characters were built a little bit better on the show, too. Just because, I don't know, like maybe they didn't have
characters?
Maybe they didn't have enough time. Well, some of them. Like Mike.
Mike is the only one who's better in the miniseries. Come on.
I don't know. Yeah. I don't know. I felt like some of it was just kind of moved too fast, I guess, on their stuff. But
I was just going to say that I think the reason I liked Beverly is because they let her be funny. Like, they let her be a whole character.
Yeah, she
wasn't only a girl who's abused by her father.
Yeah.
In the book,
she isn't only the fat kid who's sitting in the library. She isn't only the kid whose parents are dead, who's shooting fucking lambs. Like, she's the glue that like brings them all together.
Well, maybe that's what they were trying to do with Ben too. I guess make him not just the fat kid, but it also like that makes Mike kind of just the black guy with no parents,
right? Yeah,
so I felt like that took away from him. And like you're saying, like in a miniseries and in the book, he's the one who calls everybody and brings them back together. Who's going to do that now, Ben? Because I thought like a big part of him was that he I don't know, he was able to, he lost all his weight and he was like, became famous.
I don't even know the name of the curly-haired kid who like didn't want to be a part of shit.
It's Stan.
Yeah.
Stan wasn't developed at all, like really.
I don't know anything about Stan.
I guess he was chased by a haunted painting.
He was a neat freak.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, he's Jewish and he's a Boy Scout in the original
and he's the only one who kickstanded his bike.
Well, also he was like the one
in the
who
book,
got...
he's super into order. Like, that's his thing. He's into logic and order. And
he's in the miniseries, like, too.
But I mean, let's give him a couple lines about Star Trek, about fucking Spock, about Data. I mean, wherever we are in the time. Is it 87? What year is it?
89, so Next Generation might have been starting, right?
Next Generation 89? Came out in 87.
Did it?
What?
Yeah.
I thought it was 89.
Look it up.
Yeah. Well, I believe you.
Well, crikey.
I listened to a podcast today that told me that, so it's like fucking fortuitous.
Well, I know that I listened to the 30-20-10 thing, and they said that Star Trek's coming up for its 30th anniversary, but it hasn't happened yet.
Wouldn't that be 2017?
87.
Yeah, 87.
Yeah. But, I mean, I don't know if 2017 is almost done.
Well, look it up. Just look it up right now.
I mean, I believe you. I want to know the date.
So I'd like to talk about...
It was 87.
The differences in Pennywise.
It was?
Well, do you want to... Wait, what were you... Did we say enough about... I want to talk like a little bit more about the effects, just because we were on that.
Okay.
What about the house? Like, they built that house, like the house of Pennywise. Like, it wasn't like CGI or anything. Like, I thought it was kind of cool. Like, you didn't like it? You're making faces over there.
It's cool, but it might have been too archetypal. Like
the haunted house.
Oh, that didn't bother me.
I've never seen a house look as haunted as that.
Yeah, it's like, let's go in that one,
done.
the one that looks like total death over there. Like that one's great, you know.
It didn't bother me too. It didn't really bother me.
It looked to me like what an 80s haunted house would look like, but I didn't mind that. I found that kind of comforting in a way.
But it also like gave them room to do all those really cool scenes that they did in there, like the clown room. Like the clown room was awesome. And did you notice that there was a little Tim Curry Pennywise in there? Yeah.
Yeah, there was a little.
Yeah.
But that room, I watched a lot of the scenes in this movie. When I get really scared, I like plug my ears because if I can't hear like the scary sounds, it's less scary. Like music makes things a lot scarier for me.
Sure, yeah.
And so,
well, I mean, like audio, like
and
can
you know,
be.
whatever, creaky, any fucking noise is scary. And so I like plug one ear. So I was like in the theater with like one of my ears plugged with my hood down over one. So I'm watching.
I saw you doing that.
I'm watching the clowns when he walks into the room with all the clowns with like half an ear and half an eyeball because I was so fucking terrified of all those clowns, which were obviously built. Like they were totally wooden practical.
Oh yeah, no, there was a lot of practical.
I mean, they were probably
stuff in
bought
there,
or found or whatever, but I mean, that was great.
And what I was speaking about earlier, like, there was a lot of like fucking Evil Dead stuff in there, which was awesome. Like I totally like the part where she gets attacked by the drain. That's like straight out of Evil Dead. Like that's the tree. Like that's what I was reminded of when the like branches like wrap around them.
And I really thought in that scene that at any
when the
minute
hair comes out, like it looks like the way it went around, it looked just like the tree did when like the rape scene in the original Evil Dead,
and all the blood's spurting out everywhere.
Yeah, which
reminded me, of course, of The Shining.
Sure,
just like that whole river of blood. Like the river of blood from the elevators.
Yeah, it's weird that the blood gets off on this floor. It's a different floor.
Never comes to the ground floor. It's always on 2. But I kept waiting for that scene to snap back to like normal life.
Yeah.
For her to like wake up out of it. And then when her dad walked in and like talked to her and didn't notice it at all, I think that was like 3 times scarier to me.
Yeah.
Than it snapping, and the fact that they had to clean it up, which that would have taken a really long time.
I think that was a big like, that was like a big bonding moment for them, was when they can actually start talking about the clown, right? Because she's like, I need to show this to you and see if you can see it. And they saw it and they cleaned up for her, and that like brought the group together,
totally.
right? Like that's what I thought for sure.
I think that's a way better way to bring a group together than sex.
Yeah.
Well, that was later.
One thing that this movie did was there were things in the novel that didn't work, but there were some things that were pretty brilliant, and they seemed to just pick only the things that worked, such as that moment where, you know, they come together and realize that they're the only ones who can do anything about this. And that makes it sort of like a...
Well, there was also, I don't know if this is in the book too, but in the miniseries, the town was kind of against them too. Do you remember that? Where like the town like wouldn't do anything? And they did that a little bit when the car like drives past them and there's the balloon in it and they don't stop. But I felt like it was a lot more pronounced, I guess, in the miniseries.
I have a feeling in the sequel they're going to do...
Or are they going to figure it out later that Derry's a part of it and all that?
I think that's... Yeah. Because the second chapter is rumored to be called Pennywise, and I think it's going to get a lot more into him, which is my chief complaint here is that...
Yeah, we don't have any backstory for Pennywise at all.
And
well, you sort of do, just that he's been, because they do look at some of the old stuff and they do see his face in there a little bit, you know, but it's not like he doesn't come in and be like, hey, you know, like.
To me, there were too many jump scares, and those are just, it's really cheap, and I understand that's what sells.
Yeah, there were a lot of jump scares in there for sure.
I just want to say they all scared me.
Well, I mean, like, but like the parts when he's like running at them and he's like, you know, like I thought that was kind of,
like,
I thought that was kind of like
in the basement.
Well,
but,
when I felt
like that was kind of cheap too, because it's just like I'm gonna run like all weird, and that's scary, I guess, you know, like, and I don't. And,
well, but anytime bodies,
it just looks silly to me.
Anytime bodies move, bodies move when the way that they're not supposed to move.
Yeah. That was
like
cool.
His super fast
Even though,
movement when he came out of the refrigerator.
I love that part.
Oh
where
my fucking
his
Christ.
legs like go over his head like that. Like that was really cool.
That's why like Japanese horror movies freak me out because they have all the bodies that like.
Yeah. Well, in Hellraiser they do that too.
Move
like when we first
upside down and backwards, like all their joints are broken.
Oh yeah.
And that scares the fuck out of me.
Well, I remember the first time we watched Hellraiser, and I was like, "Oh, you're like this," because like when he comes out of the floor, like he's all like,
"Oh yeah,"
he like walks all backwards and all that.
But as opposed to jump scares, I mean, you have a story about this ancient evil who's psychic, therefore like completely mentally superior to people, and who's been around for millions of years, although it doesn't say so in the movie. It's just
wasn't he
at
like,
least hundreds.
Didn't he like create the universe or something like that? Like
he was around.
The turtle god did or whatever. Yeah. Are they?
But I mean, so you have that potential to talk about that stuff, and you have an actor doing an amazing job of doing the dialogue for him, and still you just go for CGI jump scares. Like you're wasting money. You're wasting.
I don't think they're wasting money because they did really well. Like this is like the number 3 biggest opening weekend. I mean, for like an art horror movie, that's pretty awesome. Like it was behind like Beauty and the Beast and like Guardians of the Galaxy 2.
I see what you're saying there, John. The jump scares don't have staying power.
Exactly. Like no one's going to remember those in 20 years.
And even if we watch it, if you watch that movie 3 times, you're going to know everything that's going to jump out at you, and that's not going to be scary because it's not story.
Well, I wanted to watch
and
it some more.
Story is scarier than I see what you're saying.
For sure. I want to watch it to kind of look for the strings on the special effects stuff because I really liked a lot of special effects, like the leopard dude, like with the weird nose, like, and he like the way he moved and all that, and it's like one of his legs is bigger than the other one. I thought that was really cool.
Well, that Jewish lady painting, like seriously, that's what my nightmares look like. They look like
the frightening
Have you
painting?
seen that? It's a Picasso painting, Les Demoiselles d'Avignon. No.
Oh.
It's a painting. It's
like
one of the first, like, cubists. It's like the beginning of cubism, I think. Sorry if I'm wrong here. But it's these women and their bodies are, like, all crazy, angular, disjointed, limbs in the wrong place. And their faces are, like, shaped like a crescent moon, like a square, like a triangle. And it's a terrifying painting because it's not at all the way the bodies are made or shaped. And this Jewish lady painting playing the flute,
I thought that was supposed to be him playing the flute, or no?
I don't think
Was that a lady? I don't know. I thought it was just a really bizarre interpretation of Stan playing the flute.
Oh no, I just think it was like his great grandma or something.
I don't know. That creature was wearing a black robe and like.
Yeah, I don't know.
I thought it was a lady.
Maybe he did
gray French fry for a head.
Maybe he did it. Maybe he did it during his whatever you call it. What was the thing he was practicing?
Impressionism. Oh, the Torah, his bar mitzvah.
Well, yeah, maybe he like that was like the talent part of the bar mitzvah.
I wish there was a talent portion of the bar mitzvah.
We have to play the
now
flute.
For a trick you'll really like, I'll turn my head into a gray French fry.
Well, speaking of Stan, like, you remember in the miniseries, like, Stan, I always felt that Stan was the one that killed himself because he he got stuck in that house with him, and he had, like, one of the worst experiences with it, I thought, and since he got, like, in this one, he got his face completely covered by his mouth. I'm like, okay, that's grounds probably for killing yourself.
Hold on, they
did that really well.
Yeah. Well, I was trying to figure out, because in the original miniseries, that's what I believe that he was like, because he didn't talk about it, like he never talked about what happened to him in the house to them, and I think he told Bill and Bill didn't tell anybody, whatever. It's like it's a major plot point of whatever. And I was like, well, what's going to happen to him that's going to make it his worst thing? And then I saw like the whole thing stuck to his face, and I'm like, okay, I guess that's probably it then, Yeah.
Would be traumatizing.
Well, I was looking at the painting.
Yeah, no, I know.
So,
did you want to talk about it more?
No, I just wanted you to see it so you would know how scary it was.
Oh yeah, no, I did see it. Yeah, no, imagine seeing that thing coming after you.
Well, that's what I felt like. It was like a direct.
So I do understand that scares sell, and they amp up the audience, and the audience comes out, and if they're not into plot so much, but just being amped up, then they're going to be like, oh, that was great. There's also a scary clown, and it was sort of neat too, and there was also a bunch of comedy. But I mean, the scariest movie that I can think of, I think a lot of people would agree with me, has no jump scares.
What, The Exorcist?
Yes.
No, that's what when you were talking about like audio scares, that's the one thing I thought of, because when I saw Exorcist in the theater when it was re-released, and the part when they like get on the Nagra, the like recording machine, and they're listening to like all the different voices, and they're like all coming from different parts of the theater, and it's like me and my friend Andy, and we're like the only ones in there, and I'm like fucking scared shitless, like just of this part of this person listening to all these voices, like that scared the fuck out of me.
Yeah, I think sound can actually be for me the scariest
and it is
thing.
That was when I felt like
primordial evil, just like the demon in Exorcist.
Yeah, that was when I felt like trapped. I'm like, I'm fucking trapped in this theater, and I'm not gonna be able to get out of here. And like and then like the spider crawl happened later, and I was like, oh god. But that part with all the voices, I'm like, there's nobody in here. Like, are we going to die here? Like, what's happening? I felt freaked out. But I mean, what I want to ask you this, like on the sequel, like, I was thinking, like, what if they did 3? What if they do 3 movies? What if they make it into a trilogy?
How?
What if they made a second movie that's all about, like, Pennywise and his origin or whatever, and it's about, like, Derry, like, way back when the kids aren't even there and they're not even in the movie. And then in the third one, it's about them defeating Pennywise. What about that? You don't like that idea?
I think you'd be running into Hobbit territory.
I thought about it. Well, because I've heard, people talk about, like, well, the next one is going to be more about, like, the history of Derry. And I was like, well, what if they made, like, a whole movie about that and took the kids out and put them in it later in the third one and make 3 of them?
I'd watch it.
I mean, they made enough money. Like, why not just milk it for a third one? It's already, like, there's a lot of material to cover. Like, why not split it into 3 movies instead of 2,
That is interesting, but there's just no way that they're going to do that. Because they've invested so much of their plot and emotional energy into these characters. But Losers Club, which is the strongest aspect of the movie. I mean, to be honest, the kids are the strongest.
But those actors aren't going to be in it.
I know, that's why they wouldn't do it, because they've just invested in
No, I'm saying, but they've already, but they're going to have to recast everybody as older people.
But they'll still be the same characters.
But it won't be like
minds.
I don't know. It may not be as strong because a lot of the performances came from the actors. I don't know. I'm just saying, like, it doesn't.
It's better than having there be guaranteed
having them not be in there at all. Yeah, and just Pennywise.
Yeah, I think they're probably going to just incorporate the story of Pennywise.
They can save that for It 3.
I mean, because I think they're going to have to do
It 3.
In order to defeat it for good, they're going to have to do the research into old Derry. So I think that's where we're going to find the story of Pennywise folded in.
Sure, that was just what I thought of when I heard. I was like, man, it'd be cool if they did 3, and then they did that one later. I don't know. That's what I thought would be cool. If they just did a whole thing without the kids there and just did like an old timey Derry movie, and then you go back to them as older later. I don't know. I wanted
like another 27 years go by, and they're like, we're gonna take my arthritis pills so I can make it through the sewer grate to kill the creature.
That'll be It 4.
You know what I want to talk about are the deaths.
Oh, what? Like just the bully? I think he was the only guy that got killed, right?
I think your dad got killed. I think Beverly's dad died.
Oh yeah,
but Georgie got killed.
Fucking
Henry Bowers.
Yeah, Georgie
Bowers' dad got
killed. That kid who was hanging out with the losers.
Betty Ripson died at
well, I mean, there were all these kids that disappeared off camera.
Henry Kirkbacher, I don't know what his name was. That was the weird kid who was in the sewers looking to beat up
Patrick Hockenbauer.
Yep, exactly.
That's what you're talking about, right? Henry
Bauer was the bully
who fell down the well.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So is he gonna? Because he comes back in the book, right? Like he kills his parents and then he goes to.
He's not dead. There's no way if they're gonna do a part 2. He's not.
Because Pennywise sends him after them because they need like a physical threat, pretty much, because they're not that much afraid of him when they're older. Like I always figured that was the point of him coming back, because he's in like mental institution and Pennywise visits him and he like breaks out and comes after him, but he's all like old with white hair. I mean that's in the miniseries.
Well, he got blamed for all the murders.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. Well, he's proven susceptible to psychoses in listening to a TV.
Yeah, it was the weird TV that
TV was awesome.
I loved
the
that
lady
in
with
the
the kids, and it's like, go to the sewer, it's fun.
Oh yeah, that was so.
But in the background of like everybody's house, that everybody TV was talking to them, and that was awesome.
It was like the it was like the jukebox from Twin Peaks. Like all of them have the same. Everybody was watching the same show. It's like how everybody's listening to the same song in Twin Peaks. Like no matter where they go.
In American Gods, that's what media is like. Gillian Anderson.
Crispin Glover?
No. No.
He's the world, right? I don't know. We didn't
Mr.
talk,
World.
we didn't talk about that show.
But I'm talking about in the books.
Yeah, sure.
Media, like whenever Shadow turns on the TV, like media talks to him through whatever character is on TV.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
So I would love to hear exactly what you guys like about it and exactly what you guys don't. I'd also like at some point to talk about the differences in Pennywise, and that would be my only.
Oh, sure. No, we can talk about that. Which one do you want to talk about first?
Let's talk about what we like.
Did you want to talk
and
about?
Don't like.
Did you finish?
I think I did.
Okay.
If not, it's fine.
I thought you did. I'm sorry.
No, I think I did too.
Yeah, I just want to make sure you're ready to move on.
I think I didn't like a lot of the same things that you didn't like, Trey, in that I didn't feel like we knew Mike very well.
Yeah.
We didn't know that kid.
Some of the characters I didn't really connect with.
Stan. You know what I was?
He's going to be dying anyway.
Yeah, you know what I was really surprised by was, and like in a good way, was the fact that Ralph Jeff's mom, Eddie's mom.
Yeah.
Asthma, hypochondria.
Yeah.
Eddie Spaghetti.
Like, didn't think there's nothing wrong with him.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
That she just, like, trapped her son in this world.
Yeah.
Like, that's some scary shit.
Well, that's how it was in the,
That's like true horror
that's
right
how it was
there.
in the miniseries, too.
And
well,
the book.
They kind of did it for a second, you know, because he does, in the miniseries, he sprays his inhaler on him, and he says this is battery acid, and it, like, hurts him. And there was a part where he, like, puts his pills in front of him, something in his head starts to cave in. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
In the end of the new It movie?
I thought that the guy shot him with the cattle killer,
It
but
was just
empty.
the air gun.
Oh no, it was. I thought it. You're right. But I thought that it started to cave in because they believed that there was something in there, like whether there was because there wasn't.
Yeah,
and
that's how they were doing. Yeah,
and it reminded me of the part
Yeah,
where
it
he
was
said
like their
this has
strength of
battery
will.
acid in it, and he believed it was in there, and it hurt him because of that.
Right.
Like, that's what I thought of as that part.
Yes.
Yep.
That's
They were
exactly the
definitely
correlation.
And one thing before I forget about stuff that I didn't like comparison like this to the miniseries. Silver, man, the bike. They didn't do anything with it. You know, I like
showed it.
They showed that it was called Silver, but I mean,
What's it supposed to do exactly? Just run away from it?
Yeah, no, it's supposed to be like they believe it's like the fastest bike they have, and it like it's important in the second half of the book because it saves his fucking wife from like snapping out of her comatose state because of its speed and all that. I mean, it was like
so cheesy. Oh, I hope they don't do that.
No, I would have liked it to be a presence at all.
Can't do that.
Well, like he saved Stan's life with Silver also. Like it was important in the original part.
No,
Well, this whole
in the book, Kim and Richie got away from like Werewolf It, which was like teen Werewolf It, which was so cheesy.
Yeah, but I like that part of it just because. Well, the original one took place in the 50s. The original one took place in the 50s, and they were afraid of 30s monsters, so like 30s monsters came after them. Like one dude got killed by Gillman. That's fucking awesome. But I mean, you're not going to see that now, you know.
Creepy. That was sort of creepy.
But I love that stuff because
like
I love those monsters.
Feeling for the dude's zipper. He's like, you're not real, as his jugular's getting pierced.
Oh, yeah. Well, he gets chased, and then the Wolfman, I was a teenage werewolf, is like the one that he saw that freaked him out, and that's why he came after him, and it makes sense, because that's what you've been watching at that time, but I kind of liked that the original monster's in there, but I guess they would think they're hokey or whatever, because like Frankenstein's monster and the mummy's in there too.
Yeah. Everything.
The mummy was in the new one.
Yeah, sort of. The leper dude.
No, not the leper. He attacked Ben, which is who he attacked in the book.
Yeah, he get wrapped around by the bandages. Now, I did see that, and I wondered if that was the mummy.
I think that was an homage to it, at least.
What were you going to say?
I was just going to say so much of what happens in this book is based on what the kids think is real.
Yeah.
And so having them think that Silver is the fastest bike is what makes it the fastest bike. Yeah. Having the kids be afraid of what Pennywise is makes Pennywise strong. So I can see that you didn't feel that there was a parallel there. They didn't have.
I just wish that Silver
their
had
belief
had
didn't
more presence,
manifest in a beneficial way to them.
Yeah.
You were like missing that half of the balance.
Well, I just thought Silver was cool. I mean, and it was. I understand it was like a fucking Lone Ranger joke, like in the original one. You know, hi ho Silver away. But that was like his bike that was important to him, and like being a kid that had a bike, like I understood that. Like, you know, I was a huge Ghost Rider guy, so like my bike was my fucking hell bike, you know, from Ghost Rider. Like that's what I thought it was, and there was a connection to it, and I thought that was kind of a missed opportunity to not really have Silver be great in any way, or have it save anybody. I don't know. I know I guess it didn't bother you, but it did kind of bother me that Silver wasn't as cool as it was.
I feel like it was
I understand it said Silver on his bike, and they show it in a close up, but like, I don't know.
It really worked with the aesthetic of the book. And even the miniseries, but it just didn't have a place so much here. I think it very well will
there might have been a
a
deleted scene or something. But it
in the second chapter, it'll have a place.
It will, but it's not going to make sense if it didn't do anything in the first one. Is what I think. Like if the bike all of a sudden
here's my old bike.
Here's my old bike that saved you from shit off screen that you didn't see.
Well, I mean, but they all used their bikes.
Yeah.
Like biking was definitely their main mode of transportation. They all used their bikes to get away from.
Well, yeah.
And to get to wherever they were going.
But Bill's bike was what he's used it to save his wife later, you know, because it's special to him. And he believed it was the fastest bike because it saved Stan that one time. But yeah, I don't know. That's just saying I wanted to talk about Silver before I forgot. But what else
didn't I really liked almost everything about this movie.
Yeah.
So what did you like in particular?
I liked the different
your favorite?
manifestations of it.
I mean, I agree with you. I definitely like that part.
I definitely had a couple of times where I was like, don't go pick up the fucking Easter eggs. Don't do that. Don't do that. What are you doing?
Yeah.
What the fuck are you doing?
Oh,
Stop.
yeah, right?
Stop.
Where he
Stop.
goes into the thing, yeah.
You're smarter than this. You've
Yeah.
been in the library all summer. You're not doing, don't do that.
I guess you weren't reading horror books while you're in there, right?
Yeah.
You wouldn't know, like, don't go after, but, you know, they're kids, they're curious.
Right.
Right.
I guess so. But I still, no.
Well, that was the part where you get chased by the headless thing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which I didn't think actually looked that good.
No, that part looked weird.
I wasn't very
impressed.
impressed with the CG of that. I think it would have looked a lot cooler if they had a guy with a green mask, if they had used an actual body.
Yeah.
But it was obviously, it looked rubber, you know, it looked CG.
Sure.
So
I think it was trying to look like it had been fucked up.
No, I agree with you.
But it's still, I don't know. I was like,
Yeah.
come on, let's just have Pennywise talk to the guy.
And when he finally
Instead.
did, when his
Yeah.
face came out and he was like, woohoo!
All he said was, fat boy.
Yeah, and that was
It's like, come on,
terrifying.
man, say more.
Yeah.
But I mean,
be
just his sudden appearance was scarier to me than this like
Sure.
rubber headless kid soldier, whatever the fuck it was, running around.
Are you saying that he's like, cause he's kind of more like manipulative, like in the book or the series also, you know, like where he kind of talks
He
to
spends
them
a lot
and-
more time talking to them.
Yeah, he does.
He definitely does. Well, I mean,
and
he
he's
like
an
taunts
interesting
them
character.
and all that.
Like, what the fuck kind of perspective does a creature like that have?
I thought
I'm fascinated to know. I didn't get enough of it even in the book.
Oh, I thought like he was kind of like, isn't he sort of like Galactus? Like he lives off of fear, so he needs their fear. Like that's kind of what I kind of got from it.
Yeah, but how does that change your personality over millions of years?
Well, yeah. I mean, if he's always like eating fear and it tastes really good, then I guess he can never give it up. I don't know. But doesn't he sleep
he's
like
gotta
for
be more than
30
just, like-
years or whatever and come back? Yeah.
It does, but like, is this whole thing just addiction to fear, more or less?
What's he do in his downtime?
I don't know.
Yeah, I would. Yeah, sort of.
He
I don't know.
sleeps.
Like,
He sleeps for 27
does
years
he
in
think
the sewer.
about? What does he think about other than eating? There's got to be more to him than that.
He's like, what are the kids?
Psychic. He's
like, what?
got a lot of freedom. Like,
What are the kids scared of now? What the heck?
Cell phones.
There was one of the kids had a poster of Beetlejuice in his room, and I was like, oh man, they should work that in here somewhere. Because you know, like how they were always afraid of, like in the original one, they're like afraid of movies that they saw and they get chased.
Who's afraid of Beetlejuice, man?
You know, I was freaked out by Beetlejuice when I was a kid.
Those sandworms, though, I mean, they look pretty freaky.
I was pretty freaked out by Beetlejuice when I saw it, but I was like 5 or whenever it came out. So,
When they make their
not that
faces
much
all
younger than
crazy,
well, I mean, this
when
movie-
they're trying to
yeah.
scare them, and she makes her face like a crazy,
Oh yeah.
creepy
When
alien
she pulls
alligator.
her face off and her eyes fall out, like I mean, I thought
Yeah.
that shit was
That's
scary
pretty
when I was a
creepy.
kid.
So you think it should have been like,
We come for your daughter, Chuck.
Go ahead and make my millennium.
Yeah.
So yeah, I liked all the manifestations of it.
What about the I don't know. What about like the kids? Oh, you talked about them, right? Well, some
Yeah,
of
I
them weren't
did.
developed.
Beverly, awesome.
Yeah, no, Beverly was my favorite, but
It was like the Goonies.
Well, that's what
It was like Stand By Me.
It was like Stand By Me,
it was,
the
but
horror
it was,
movie.
but it wasn't though, because I don't feel like they were developed as well as like the characters of Stand By Me or Goonies. Like I didn't really like.
I felt like it was they
like-
were okay. Maybe
like
not
Beverly,
Stand By
yeah.
Me, but Goonies. They met the Goonies standard.
I mean, it
feel
was-
Like.
I really-
no, they definitely did
I
not.
really do.
It
I would-
did.
I would not
well,
agree
I
with that.
heard somebody
Okay.
say that it was like Goonies, the horror movie, and I agree that it was like.
Yeah, I
Goonies,
feel like
the horror movie.
Goonies has enough downtime to like have have the characters know how they relate to each other and all that.
And they also have a lot. They
but I
let
felt the
them
story
have
moved really fast.
smaller moments,
Yeah.
like when they all go to pee.
Yeah,
You know, and they give people like they give each character an interaction with each character, so that's how you learn about. In fucking theater, the way that you learn about your character is what you say to other characters and what other characters say about you.
yeah.
So you have to have people talk about other characters so you learn about them. And then you have to have those characters talk to all the characters so that you can learn about everyone. And I didn't feel like we had those individual small moments.
Yeah. No.
So I think that's we had some good group scenes. The swimming scene was really good. Cleaning
Yeah,
the
no, that
bathroom
was
was
great.
really good. Learning about history, standing outside of the haunted house was really good. Like we had some really good group scenes, but we didn't have the individual moments that make things feel whole.
Sure. Yeah, I know. I agree with you on that.
What about when, after Stan got attacked and he went into the closet when his hands were all shaky and he freebased some laxatives?
I don't remember that part.
I must have been in the bathroom during that part.
Yeah.
Well, you should watch it again.
What
Watch
did
the
you-
movie
what-
for the freebasing laxative scene.
What did you like and dislike, John?
Okay, I really enjoyed Skarsgård's performance of Pennywise. I thought it was great how he basically talked to the children like pets. Hiya, Georgie. Would you like a balloon? Like the same way I talk to like my dog, except I actually love my dog, you know? But, but I mean, and it in the book honestly thinks of humans as completely inferior. And in many ways they are, because like this is a being beyond time, beyond space. Like it didn't even, this is kind of a spoiler for like Dreamcatcher or something, but it didn't die from the book.
Is it in Dreamcatcher?
Sort of. There's graffiti that says Pennywise lives.
Oh, really?
And the the villain of Dreamcatcher is Bob Gray, which is the same name that it gives in the book. He says to Georgie in the sewer,
Why, I'm Bob Gray, Pennywise, the dancing clown.
Did he say that in the movie?
No.
He didn't say Bob Gray, he just said Pennywise.
I was just
There's really no reason for him to say that in the book, except for probably Stephen King wanting to eventually connect it to something else.
Sure.
Did you feel like the clown was like, or Pennywise was like, he was a being not from this world that was kind of pretending to be a clown and he didn't really know how to, sort of? It just seemed sort of out of place on that.
That's an interesting thought, honey.
Maybe.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I've heard people talk about that, and I didn't really think of it in that way, but I guess maybe. I mean, I don't know, because he's not really like, I don't know. I'm not saying this is anything against his performance or anything like that, but maybe that was a part of it that they were trying to get into it.
Well, if you think about it, if you're a being of like infinite time and you need to lure kids into talking to you so that you can read their minds, so that you can eat their fear, clown's a good way to go. Kids, like, I think before we're not afraid of clowns as a people, generally.
Maybe not before John Wayne Gacy.
Well, right, and that too. But, yes.
Who also had very sharp lines in his
He really did. Yeah, and he designed his own makeup. I'll just point out that he made up all his, and he's very triangular, and it's creepy as fuck. But, you know, like, people weren't afraid of clowns in the 20s. People weren't afraid of clowns. You know, in Shakespeare's time, people weren't afraid of clowns, you know, in the 1500s and the 1800s. At least I haven't read anything.
I think back then they were just afraid of everything.
They're mostly just afraid of like syphilis and
tuberculosis.
Satan. I mean, mostly they're just afraid of Satan until like now. But I think it really changed the dynamic for people. For the way that people think about clowns. It did for me. I don't think I would. Right now, if a fucking clown walked up to me on the street, I'd kick it in the balls and run away.
Well, I was going to say,
I don't want to have anything to fucking do with clowns ever again. And it's because I saw this movie on TV when I was a kid, way before I should have.
I mean, this is probably the one that's known the most for it, but I wouldn't say it's the first. I mean, Poltergeist came out in like 82, and there were scary clowns in that, you know.
Sure.
I'm just saying.
Sure.
And like, well, Killer Clowns was later, but I mean,
well,
it's
maybe
like
the 80s then is like the birth of clowns being thought of as.
I mean, even before the book was even written,
treacherous.
Like, it could have been.
And I'm sure that comes from the French, because
that.
Clowns are French originally, and I'm sure there are scary fucking French clowns dating from whenever the fuck French clowns started to be a thing. Mm-hmm. But I think in the modern culture, the 80s is probably the time.
Yeah. I mean, it's a phobia. Like, everybody has a phobia of different things.
Yeah.
Like, I don't remember what it's called, but I have a phobia of, like, puppets that look like people that, you know, don't look like people. I don't know what that's called, but that's an actual phobia. Like, I think the fucking elf things from Dark Crystal look really fucking weird, and they're kind of scary, you know?
The gelflings?
Yeah. The ones that are supposed to be the good guys. I think they look fucking weird as shit.
So, you're more comfortable with the Skeksis than the gelflings?
Yeah. Because they're really weird looking, yeah.
Strange, Trey, gelfling.
Yeah. What were you getting at with the clowns? Or just talking about, I forgot where we were going.
The etymology of clownophobia. Yeah. Which is not the official name.
It's like calorophobia or something.
Yeah. It's something with call at the beginning. But you were talking about what you liked and disliked about it.
I was just saying, what I was saying was that if you had to assume a form in order to get kids to talk to you, clown is a good way to go.
Yeah.
I was just trying to back up what you had said.
But if you found a clown in the sewer, I mean, I don't think I'd talk to anybody in the sewer.
No, but if you're like 5, magic exists in the world. You know what I mean?
Didn't,
and if you do see a clown in the sewer, like, that's not scary, that's magic.
Oh, okay.
I think until this movie happened and now.
I was going to say that brings me to one moment that I really liked in the movie where Georgie wasn't a complete putz. Like, he was actually like, what are you doing in the sewer? Which he does ask in the book.
Yeah.
And Pennywise gives the same answer. But in the miniseries, he's like, hey, you're a nice clown. I take balloon. I'll take balloon now.
Who was it? Who was the guy that lost his father in the miniseries? Do you remember that?
I guess that was Ben.
Because I just thought of like
I don't know if that even happened in the book.
Well, that was like one of my favorite like silly parts of the miniseries where he's like, "Hey, son, I live over here now," and he like points.
Creepy.
He like points to the sewer
because he looks so like he's from like some fake,
and then
like 50s ad or something.
And then he turns into the skeleton that's still waving and all that. But I don't know. Me and my friends always kind of made fun of that. Where it's like, I live here now. Like, come hang out in the sewer. That's my house. Let's chill in the tunnels.
By the way, I do have to say, the actor who played Georgie did a really good job, and that little kid is like so cute, which is so appropriate for that role because you feel for him.
What did you think about the scary stuff where he came back to see him later?
That was the scariest stuff in the movie. Like,
I thought
the basement scene with Bill was the freakiest, where he like, where
it was Georgie, really scary to me too.
Where he turns into like a zombie and he's like spitting sewer muck and
his face is falling apart.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Georgie was like the one that's like you're saying, that isn't not necessarily, I mean, I'm sure there's jump scares in there, but it's more like psychological. You know, it's not like a monster that he's afraid of.
And that's what
he's afraid of his brother that's dead, you know. And I like that one better. I guess I think that's the one that holds more weight, you know.
Yeah.
In the story is that like he's afraid because he feels responsible for his brother's death and all that, and that's what's going to haunt him.
They do a really good job of, you know, if you've ever lost someone, there's a kind of like horror and excitement at the thought of seeing them again after they're dead. So like when he sees Georgie's raincoat running through the kitchen, it's both amazing and terrifying at the same time, and they really do a good job, I think, throughout that whole sequence of keeping both of those emotions until he turns into a terrifying sewer spitting zombie.
Yeah. Oh yeah, no. And doesn't does he come back and help him at all in the book, like an actual ghost of Georgie, or did I just imagine that?
No, he's always just a puppet of a creature.
Yeah, I think I got it confused. So sometimes they come back because his brother does come back in that one to help him later.
I've been doing a lot of microphone pops.
Pop, pop, lots of pops.
There's Pennywise
that's spoiler from the movie if you don't.
Yeah, well, Pennywise is a P, so there's a lot of pops in there. I'll try to clean it up later. But what else?
I didn't spit into it. It's just the.
Yeah, no, I know.
Oh,
no, I meant cleaning it up editing wise, not the
not the mic.
But what else? So what else did you? Were you done with what you liked and didn't like there, or like?
What I didn't like was that they squandered the opportunity to milk more out of Pennywise, and I don't think they would have had to. Okay, so basically the thing that I liked the very most was the Losers Club themselves and their interaction. The casting was excellent. The dialogue was great. Like, Eddie Caspero has never been a fuller character in either the novel or the miniseries. Like, he was just, they turned characters who were one-dimensional in the book and the miniseries into so much more. Like, Richie's jokes were like so much better than in the book or the miniseries. They're painful in both of those.
I don't know. I thought they were painful in the movie too.
Really?
Yeah, I didn't think any of them were good. I thought they were all like, "Oh, my dick's huge. It's funny."
It's
and
still
your mom,
better.
And your mom's a slut. That's funny.
It's still
I thought
better.
they started off really bad and got more tolerable as it went along.
Okay, well,
I don't know. I wasn't really. I mean,
rewatch the miniseries.
Oh, his jokes are terrible there too. But I think
worse.
most comedians have terrible jokes. But that's just me.
I think for me the problem was more of the timing than the joke itself.
Yeah. Oh, sure.
I think the kid just needs to learn to wait a little bit longer. Just need to wait a second longer.
Was it like bad Suicide Squad?
And his jokes are going to be funnier.
Yeah.
It was not as bad as Suicide. No, I'd rather watch that kid only tell me jokes in that character's than watch Suicide Squad again.
I didn't feel that much attached to him at all. To Richie.
Really, I liked him.
I felt like I only
cool.
really know who he was just because I knew the story already. Like, I didn't really feel like he was developed that much. His character was.
I cheered for him when he was like, "I'm gonna have to kill this fucking clown."
I did too.
Oh yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, well, yeah, of course, because he was trying to run away before that, and then he finally didn't run away.
But what I wanted to say about Pennywise is that they wouldn't have had to cut out any of the loser stuff, just a little bit of the CGI, a little bit of the jump scares to establish him as this sort of menacing, inhuman thing, and they already do that visually in a very stunning way, like the way that he contorts himself, the way that he's obviously not something that's living in a normal sort of way. If they would have matched that with the sort of exorcist-y psychology that they had a little tiny bit in the miniseries and in the books, like just enough.
You know what I thought we were going to get when we finally get into the heart of the sewer, into the well, and we see the like old roll-up door or old caravan sign that says Pennywise the Dancing Clown.
And then he's dancing so weird after that.
And it opens up. I actually thought we were going to kind of get a puppet show or something telling us the story of Pennywise.
Oh, really?
That would have been, that's a great idea.
I really thought we were going to get,
it would be like
like a Punch and Judy show that was going to give us this, or or any kind of like
turtle
puppet show that was going to give us a more of the story of like why they had ended up in this sewer.
I remember,
and I was disappointed when that didn't happen.
That what you're saying there reminds me of Freddy's Dead, like when they go to like the town and like all the kids are gone and the teachers are crazy, and like there's that history guy where he's like 1492 Freddy killed the ocean blue or whatever.
Yeah,
it reminds me of that because he goes through this whole like history of like when
sure,
it's not with puppets but it's like on a chalkboard and he like does all that's different.
I just thought that would have been the perfect. Now we have the perfect moment to give us the backstory before we get to the end of the movie.
Oh,
that
sure.
would
So we have
probably,
some context.
that would actually probably
would
like
have played well, you think? I don't know.
maybe, and it definitely would have served his character as well, because that would have scared the crap out of Beverly.
Well, of course it would.
It scared the crap out of anyone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Instead of his dancing.
So I think they missed. I think they missed an opportunity there.
Are you scared now?
Yeah.
Are you scared of my dancing? I mean, because it's bad. I thought his dancing looked sort of unnatural because his head like wasn't moving and his body was like
cool.
So it looked like really eerie,
Yeah,
but
it was cool.
Yeah.
Looking. That's the whole point. It's like, do you want cool looking or do you want something that's memorably
With
horrifying?
substance.
No,
Yeah.
I want the substance side for sure.
Oh yeah,
I'm just saying,
I know that you do.
I would have rather seen. No, I would have
rhetorical you.
because I'm telling you that I don't. I felt like I know it's like a 2 hour 15-minute movie, but I felt like a lot of it could have been slower, for like the kid development and all that. I felt like a lot of it was really fast, but maybe because they wanted to make more time for the big scare parts and all that. But I don't know. They could have been a little bit more like you were saying, like a little bit more slow time with them.
I think I would have. I think I would have found a different balance.
A little
if
bit
I
of
had
it more
been
of
writing it.
their. I don't know. I felt like their relationship needed a little bit more.
You just needed some
development.
individual
more slow
talking.
time, I guess. Yeah.
I actually, I can see what you're saying, but I thought I felt like the time they devoted to the horror story was absolutely necessary. I thought that they squandered that, but I felt like they filled up the time with the Losers Club as best as they possibly could. Like it was a little bit rushed for sure, but like you still like got the heart of it, and you really did need that time for the horror movie. And I don't think that you could have made it much longer and had it.
No, I'm not saying that it should have been longer. I don't know. Maybe they could have.
Less horror, more Losers Club?
I guess. Maybe. Well, I mean, there's some sort of balance where it's like, I don't know.
I think you really don't need much. I think you just need a couple of lines between each character. Mm-hmm. So maybe we add a total of like maybe 3 minutes total to the movie.
Yeah.
But
what about
when you brought up like the Goonies peeing scene, for some reason that really resonated, and I was like, you're totally right. That's how it's not like the Goonies.
Yeah.
That's how it's not as good.
Well, they have that whole part with them like fucking around in the attic and all that too. In the Goonies.
Yeah, totally.
And just other like smaller parts. But let's talk about like how they like sort of, and we talked about it a little bit, like how they changed the characters around, like making Ben like Mike now, like with the history and taking away from Mike's backstory. I mean, we touched on that a little bit, but did you have a problem with that? Like on things that you didn't like? Because I did that. I didn't feel like because when I got towards the end, I was like, man, I don't feel like I know Mike at all. Like I don't. I know he has a gun that kills animals that you saw at the beginning of the movie, but that's all I know about him.
There was,
so I don't feel connected to him in any way. Like I said, the one I was most connected to was like Beverly or Ben, probably.
Beverly was my favorite. And then actually Eddie Casperell, just because he was so kind of annoying and one-dimensional in the book and the miniseries. But here he was like funny and he like really had heart.
Yeah, see, I didn't really, I don't know, I felt like I kind of missed him, I guess.
It's just a gazebo, Mom.
Yeah.
You've been feeding me gazebos.
Yeah, that part was funny.
Yeah.
I wonder if, because in the miniseries, like, he stays single the rest of his life. But in the book, he marries a woman that's just like his mother.
Yeah.
So I wonder if they're going to do that.
I would have thought he was gay.
Well, in the miniseries, like, Richie appears to him and he's like, you know, how's your sex life? What's your sex life? You know, is what he says, because he never had sex with anybody.
Yeah, that was such a terrible line in the miniseries too. Like, they're going into the It's lair and like freaking Harry from Night Court's like, so how's your sex life?
No, that was his head was in a refrigerator when he said that. Harry from Night Court did.
Harry from Night Court, what was Richie, not Stan? We're thinking of something else then.
No, was Stan's head in the fridge? I thought his head was in the fridge when he said that. When he said, like, how's your
die.
sex life? What's your sex
Richie
life?
didn't die.
Doesn't matter. The clown still turned into Beverly and she didn't die.
In fact, in the book, like, Richie's kind of like the hero.
Yeah, but the clown
saves everyone.
I'm saying Pennywise can turn into anybody. Like, he turned into Beverly and made out with John Ritter.
Kiss me, fat boy.
Yeah. Which, yeah. No, I like I don't know. It's really hard for me to. I like Skarsgård's performance, but I really, really love Tim Curry's performance, and it's kind of hard for me to separate from that, I guess. And I really love.
They gave him more.
What I really love about and I understand the miniseries.
Totally.
The miniseries is super hokey, but I love how Tim Curry doesn't really have any like latex or I guess his head's bigger, but you know. Apparently that was part of it because he had just come off of Legend, you know, where he had the big demon head and all that. And he's like, I don't want, because they were originally going to put all the shit on his face, and he's like, I don't want to put all the shit on my face. Can you just like paint me and just let me do it? And I feel like since they did that, in his face just does it. You know, he's just, I don't know. I felt like
he did wear a nose.
He did wear a nose, and I was saying like his forehead's bigger, but I mean like it's all pretty much.
It's just like
he was going to wear a lot of like prosthetics and stuff like that.
I'm glad he
latex.
didn't.
But I feel like I really liked that it wasn't. That it was pretty much his face painted with a nose.
Yeah. Well, that segues us really nicely into John wanting to talk about the two different Pennywises.
Yeah.
Pennywises. I don't know the plural of Pennywise.
Pennywise? No.
Pennywise?
Pennywise.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it
the
is.
Pennywise. Thank you. Yes.
Yeah. I mean, maybe it's just because I've seen the miniseries so many times and I love Tim Curry that I still kind of love his.
He carries all the horror.
He carries the whole
because
fucking movie.
The budget is so low.
No, it's low and it's hokey, and I understand that. But I mean, I feel like he still like fucking he killed it. Big time. Like his performance is amazing.
I mean, I'm still afraid of him.
He's kind of the only good part of that. There's like, do you remember like there's like
I don't think it's the only good part about it.
John Boy and Mike are like messing around on Silver for like 2 minutes while some crappy 80s song gets played. Like
I don't
there are
remember
moments
that part.
like that. They just find Silver and they're doing like dorky tricks. It's like, what the hell are you doing? Get the heck off the screen! Give me some more Tim Curry, you bastard!
They're being kids, you know.
No, they weren't kids. They were adults at this point.
Oh well,
like
they're probably
frickin' John Boy grown up with like a 80s ponytail.
Yeah, his ponytail's awful. Well, I mean, the second half. I mean, the second half I always thought was kind of weak, and especially with the giant fucking spider, which I'm sure we're going to see in the movie too. And I know it's in the book because I read that part. And we didn't even talk about the deadlights.
Oh yeah, talk about those.
Well, they talk about them in the mini-series, but I knew what they were.
Oh, they talk about them in the books.
And when he opened, well, of course they do.
Oh, I'm sure it's endless.
And when he opens his giant mouth head, whatever thing, and she sees the lights inside of it, I was like, oh, those are the deadlights. But I know that because of the book and the miniseries. But
I feel like I'm really hoping what they're doing is they're setting up to have the next movie be a lot more about Pennywise, because you already have these other characters fairly masterfully established, but still Pennywise is kind of a bit of a mystery. And then like he comes back and you can't ignore the fact that he's coming back, like if you want to have a good movie. Like it's not just going to be like The Ring or whatever where it's just, I'm just going to kill people because I want to kill people. Like, that's not what Stephen King's story is.
Well, The Ring is The Ring is a bad story. I was like, The Ring is a bad version of a Japanese movie called Ringu, which actually makes sense. Like all the shit in the video is actually a piece of something. You should actually watch it. Like all this stuff you see is like from a thing, but
it tells the story.
Yeah. But, I don't know. I mean, it's gonna have to be, you're gonna have to have all the stuff where you see, like, what they've come to in, like, 27 years, you know, like, I feel like that's a big part of it. It's like where Beverly gets abused and she marries an abusive person, and...
You know, I feel like they could maybe skip that part.
Actually, that was another thing,
they could maybe just skip that part. That's just...
What, where she fights her husband and all that? Yeah.
And it's...
Even if it happens a lot of the time, I mean, it is... thankfully happening less now because women are more empowered now to live their own lives.
Yeah.
But it's still very hard for a lot of women to escape their sexual past. So I'd be very happy if we gave her another choice.
Yeah.
Yeah. And by the way, it was never made one thing that's interesting about Beverly's character here, which I think was great for her character arc, terrible for her personally, even though she's a fictional character. She was never actually like physically abused or sexually abused in the book, but there was sort of weird stuff going on. Like it wasn't quite at that level though.
But I thought she was. Like in the miniseries, they definitely made it look like he had abused her. They do the same sort of thing where he's like, "You're my little girl," right?
So in the book, he's protective of her, and then he gets possessed by Pennywise and decides to go and check her hymen. And then she's running away from him,
Christ.
and he's like, but he was possessed by Pennywise at the time.
Yeah, because I felt like in the movie, I felt like he was going to like flat out rape her, like when he like pulls her legs apart and all that. And
Oh yeah.
Is he dead? Like, do you think he's dead? Like, we didn't really talk about that. Her father's dead, right?
He fucking
like,
bled out. He's dead.
Yeah. Oh, did he die in the book? Like, I don't remember him getting killed in the miniseries.
No, she got away from him and
Yeah.
just sort of didn't ever talk to him again.
Yeah. I hope they do a lot of... I mean, I liked a lot of the stuff in the miniseries. I like where they ran into, like, the creepy stuff. Like, when she goes and finds that old lady that gives her, like, the blood tea and all
They'll
that.
definitely do that.
I like that part. And also, what I was going to say is, like, Bill's basically Stephen King. Like, he grows up and writes the Glowing or whatever. It's supposed to be The Shining, but it's not The Shining.
The Shining.
But they don't really get into that at all. Like, they never...
About Nancy Kerrigan.
Well, they never mentioned that he was, like, they never really mentioned that he was a writer or anything like that in the movie. Or maybe I missed that. Like, of Bill? Like, I felt like did they mention anything that he had written anything? Like, I don't remember him.
They didn't have, like, a shot of him in English class getting an A on his essay.
Doesn't he, like, tell him stories? Doesn't he, like, tell him short stories and shit? Like, when they're,
No, you're thinking of, like, Stand By Me.
Yeah.
He didn't really in the book.
Oh, no, I thought they both had one. In the miniseries one. The guy from Stand By Me and the one from It, like, they both had a part where they told the story.
I don't remember that.
It's also fine with me if he's not a fucking writing prodigy at 12. It's fine with me if he doesn't know what he's going to end up being.
It'd be a little bit of showing, like, what he's going to become later, I guess. Maybe it's just that I'm, like I said, I'm really kind of tied to the miniseries, and I was like, they missed that of it. I don't know, and I feel like
Why are you so tied to the miniseries?
Because I like it a lot. I liked it. I like Pennywise.
When was the last time you watched it?
I don't know.
I haven't seen it in years.
Probably like a couple years.
I saw it like a couple months ago.
Yeah.
Is it real hokey?
There are parts of it. Yes.
No, it's hokey. No, I'm not saying that it isn't.
There's parts that work incredibly well for like a ABC 80s miniseries. It stands up with about 80% at least with the best of the 80s horror movies.
Is it better than the Shining TV show? Because I think that one's the best. I'm kidding.
Oh, God.
Even though I did like it at the time when it came on in high school, I thought it was pretty cool. But I was like 15.
I watched it, but it was no.
I like those
Kubrick.
Animals. I like when the animals moved in the yard.
Well, that's cool. Scary. And that's in the book.
That was
fun.
I did read The Shining, so let me just...
The Shining? You don't want to get sued, right?
No, right.
Yeah.
Let's talk about Nancy Kerrigan and what's her name?
Stephen King books.
Nancy Kerrigan.
She got shin.
She got hit in the shin with a crowbar or whatever it was.
Anyway, what was that last thing that you wanted to talk about? We talked about the two Pennywises.
That was it.
You had three things. Wasn't there a third thing?
No.
No.
I'd be okay with wrapping this up because I gotta pee.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we're at like 80 minutes. Is there anything more you want to say about it before we sign off here?
Well, you said I could say anything, so I wanted to say...
Not about like his butt or anything. What are your last thoughts on it? Well, here, let's just do this. What do you want to see in the next movie? Even though I know we've kind of talked about that, but what would be your perfect thing? I mean, I said that it should be without the kids and about the history of Derry. That's what I thought, and the origin of Pennywise.
Do you really still think that?
Yeah, Pennywise Begins. It too.
I definitely want to see a bunch of Pennywise, but I'd also like to see the kids come together in a believable way.
Oh, you mean like in their future selves? Well, I think what happens is Mike calls them, but Mike's not going to be the one who calls them because he's not the history guy anymore.
He will. I mean, the thing, he did still serve his chief purpose by saying, my grandfather said that there's a being who's cursing the town, and that's when they all started talking about it. So he did still bring them together, but it was Ben who was doing all the history. So.
Yeah,
no, I think it's going to be...
like, hey, let me introduce Ben for you, you guys.
Yeah.
What's Georgie's brother's name?
Bill?
Bill. I think it's going to be Bill.
Well, Bill's the one.
No, it's going to be Mike.
Somebody has to stay
it's
in the
going
town,
to be Mike
right?
because he's the farmer.
Because he's stuck with the butcher life, whatever.
Well, he has the land there, yeah.
But Bill is the one who made everybody promise that they would come back together.
Yeah.
I know, but that's
not the end.
I don't think
it ends up where Mike. No, I'm just curious who's going
to
call him
maybe
back.
You're right.
Maybe it'll be Ben. Maybe they'll switch it around, or maybe it'll be Beverly. Maybe she'll stay there. That'd be a shame. Well, she was going to like Portland.
No,
or
she's
something.
leaving tomorrow, man. Beverly's out.
I'm pretty sure it's not going to be Stan.
Were you kind of just? I mean, what did you feel?
I think we can all agree.
What did you feel about like Beverly and Bill? Like I felt like that was kind of a little forced. Those two, the kiss at the end.
Oh no, I thought it was
fine.
sweet.
It was kind of cute.
I was just pulling for Ben. She should have kissed him. Like fuck Bill.
Well, that's the way the book is too. In the miniseries she gets with Ben.
I know she seems smart enough to not go for skinny guys. I thought maybe she had a brain in her.
In the book, Bill and her cheat on Bill's wife.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's messed up.
Oh, they like when they're older, they do?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah, that wasn't in the miniseries because
she gets together.
She gets together with Ben in the miniseries at the end.
In the miniseries, yes, and
which
that's the way it should have happened.
That, yeah.
Yes.
She comes back because
so that's what I want to see in the new movie is her getting with Ben, not Bill.
Yeah. Because
and I want to see a whole lot more Pennywise.
Yeah.
A whole lot more of Bill Skarsgård doing great, treating people like pets that he wants to abuse.
Oh, sure.
Which is basically his take on Pennywise in a nutshell.
I'm really interested to see what happens with the bully. Like, is he gonna somehow?
Oh yeah, that's interesting.
Live out of that.
He's
got that well.
Yeah, he's got to come back.
He fell for a long fucking time. It seemed like that well never ended.
You know what I thought? I thought when they were having the stone fight, which was actually a terrifying time because I thought they were actually accidentally going to kill one of these kids. I thought one of these kids was going to fucking die. Yeah. But when they hit him with those rocks, it seemed to me like something changed in him. Like something
he went crazy in the
broke
book.
Loose in his brain.
Oh yeah, well they always like if you've seen enough of Stephen King stories, there's always the group of the bullies. There's always the guy that takes it that too far, and there's always the guy that says no. And all that.
I wanted to see Belch. One thing I want to say is I want to see frickin' Belch Higgins die. He died in the book. He died in the miniseries.
Who's Belch Higgins?
The guy who was belching. The bully who was belching.
Them? Oh, okay.
And he didn't die. Nothing happened to him at all.
I was just going to say, if you've studied serial killers at all, they all have like a traumatic head injury in their youth.
Oh, and then you're saying from the rock?
Yeah, I'm just saying I think that this kid, like, it seemed like something broke in his brain when they hit him with those rocks. Because he did have that big gash on his forehead, and it did seem to me kind of, and maybe I was reading into it, but it seemed like when he didn't get up, like his eyes were kind of like crossing, and like,
oh yeah,
it seemed like he had.
I think he
was Pennywise.
I think he was already fucked up from the beginning.
Dancing
clown. I definitely think he was, but I think like this was like a trigger.
Yeah.
Maybe. So I'll be interested. Yeah. I said all of that to say I'm interested to see what happens with that guy too.
Yeah, but overall you guys liked it, right? Like,
yes, I did.
I would give it a 3 out of 5.
Yeah, you say you give it a 3.
I don't give halves.
I thought that was kind of low. That's like a 6 out of 10. I'd give it like an 8. I think a 4 out of 5. Even though I had problems with the kids, like I still would love to see it again. Like I did still have a great time aside from the shitty people in our
I
theater.
would love to see it again. I'm actually like, I probably would give it a 4 out of 5 on first viewing, but I think I'm going to go down
the more you see it. Yeah.
The second time
the jump scares.
That's right. Because of I think I'm not going to be as scared because
I want to watch
it
at home,
happen.
not in the theater, and see like how much of effect it has on me because I was definitely
so I think my ultimate score
is
going to be 3 out of 5.
Okay, so you're future proof in your score here.
That's right.
So you don't have to come back and say that it's whatever. Yeah, I don't know. I definitely want to see it again, and I'd like to watch it at home and see if it like feels as scary.
I can't wait to watch it again. Honestly,
yeah.
At home, I don't want to see it again in the theater.
Yeah,
we sat next to these terrible kids, and I hate kids. And if you're a kid and you're listening to this podcast, don't fucking talk during the movie, you fucking cunts.
Yeah, they sucked. But what do you say? What is your rating for it? What do you say? Out of 5, out of 10, whatever, however you feel.
I would say 7.5 out of 10.
0.5 out of 10? Man, you
7.5 out of 10.
So he's giving it a 15 out of 20.
No, fuck it. I'll give it 4 out of 5.
Good.
Yeah, 8 out of 10.
Which to non-math nerds is the same thing as 8 out of 10.
Well, so what, 16 out of 20 is weird for you? I mean, I gave it an 8 out of 10.
No, 7.5 is 15 out of 20. It's just a weird, I don't do halves because I'm not going to do 3.5.
Square root of -1! Square root of -1!
It just doesn't make sense to me to do 3.5, like 3.5 out of 5. because I might as well do out of 10.
Yeah.
But if you're gonna do halves, you might as well like go just round to the fucking whole number.
I do it by points. I'm gonna give it 5.7. No, I'm kidding. I don't do that.
And then also you get to, then you're like, well, I like the lighting, that's 0.2. Well, I really like the costumes, that's 0.6.
Oh, I never thought that far into it.
This is like, it's too fucking, whole numbers only.
I always liked it out of 10, single numbers, whatever. But
3 thumbs up, one of the thumbs is missing a fingernail, and then 5 bags of Astroglide.
Perfect. I feel exactly the same way. Throw in 2 pairs, and I agree.
Anyway, so that's been our It episode. It might be a little on the long side, but that's okay. Is there anything you want to promote before we go? Like, do you want to plug anything that you're doing, John, that you want people to try to find on the internets?
Nope.
Okay.
Well, you can write to us at thehoneydarlingshow@gmail.com.
You can. I have another podcast too called Nintendo Main. This is where I talk about Nintendo stuff. If you want to listen to that.
I just wanted to thank Trey and Jess for having me. John the Bokeschneedler Logan on your show.
You can find him at John the Bokeschneedler at Twitter. That should be your Twitter name, and you should just do that. I'm surprised you don't have Twitter.
I was on Twitter for a little bit doing false whiskey-graphs. No, they're not whiskey-graphs. That's just what's in my brain. Horoscopes, that's right. Not whiskey-graphs, but horoscopes. Like, you will have profound knowledge that your family are actually lizard people while streaking naked through a pig pen type stuff.
I figured you would do that. Like, you would do it in just all the stuff that you text, like in group text, you can just put that on Twitter. And you're like texting it to the world. That's pretty much how, as one of my podcast hosts would say, if you're not posting all the time to Twitter, you're doing it wrong. So that's how I feel. I post shit to Twitter. Anyway, this has been our It podcast. We are your hosts. I'm Trey Johnson.
I'm Jess Kenyon.
And thank you, our guest,
John the Bokeschneedler Logan.
Yeah, in case you forgot.
Thanks for coming on the show, John.
And
Thanks for having me.
You can find us on YouTube. You can find us on YouTube now, but you can find us on iTunes. And if you like the show, leave us a review and all that, and give us some stars and help us so other people can find it. Anyway, thank you for listening, and we'll see you next time.
Adios.
Clear your mind, hide your fear. Go around and turn around, a Pennywise here. Hold your feelings, hide your fear. Go around and turn around, a Pennywise here. Leave all that's in his eyes. The clown they call Pennywise. He'll catch you by surprise. The clown they call Pennywise. He's a monster, he's not human. He's more than figment of your imagination. Can't run, can't hide. There's no way to escape Pennywise. Evil looks in his eyes. The clown they call Pennywise. He'll catch you by surprise. The clown they call Pennywise. He'll creep inside your soul at night and torment nice and slow. Turn around and turn around and Pennywise will know. He'll make you wish that you were dead, he'll make it hard to cope. He'll make you wish that you were dead and hanging by a rope. Evil looks in his eyes. The clown they call Pennywise. He'll catch you by surprise. The clown they call Pennywise. Clear your mind, hide your fear. Go around and turn around and Pennywise here.
Hey, here's my friend John. He's named after the toilet and the prostitute customer.
And all dead bodies unknown.
Yeah, right.
Jesus Christ, well, there's another one. The holy trinity of your names sucking.